as the borough president of Staten Island, over 500,000 people, I am disappointed in some of these non-for-profit organizations that collect large amounts of money from Staten Islanders and didn't respond. And one of them being this American Red Cross. I have not seen the American Red Cross at a shelter. I have not seen them down South Shore where people are buried in their own homes, had nothing to eat, had nothing to drink. And yesterday, touring the South Shore with the mayor, the neighbors down there that didn't have electricity managed to put together pots of soup, and they were distributing to the people down there whose homes were just destroyed. And the American Red Cross was nowhere to be found. So all the American Red Cross, all these people making these big salaries should be out there on the front line. And I am disappointed. And my advice to the people in Staten Island is do not donate to the American Red Cross.
The Red Cross was founded in 1881 by Clara Barton, who became famous during the Civil War for organizing the distribution of food and medical supplies to the Union Army soldiers. The Red Cross is specifically mandated, according to its congressional charter adopted in 1905, to carry out a system of national and international relief in time of peace, and apply that system to mitigating the suffering caused by pestilence, famine, fire, floods, and other great national calamities, and to devise and carry out measures preventing those calamities. The organization was also to carry out its work in accordance with the Geneva Conventions concerning the treatment of prisoners of war. Later, the Red Cross would also be entrusted with control of a large portion of the nation's blood supply. In recent years, the image of the Red Cross has been tarnished. The worst scandal came after the September 11th attacks, when it was revealed that a large portion of the hundreds of millions of dollars donated to the organization went not to survivors or family members of those killed, but to other Red Cross operations in what was described by chapters across the country as a bait-and-switch operation. People who think of the Red Cross as a private charity would be shocked to discover its actual legal status. Congress incorporated the Red Cross to act under government supervision. 8 of the 50 members of its Board of Governors are appointed by the President of the United States, who also serves as honorary chairperson. This unique quasi-governmental status allows the Red Cross to purchase supplies from the military, to use government facilities, and military personnel can actually be assigned to duty with the Red Cross. However, as one federal court noted, a perception that the organization is independent and neutral is vital. The leading administrators and officials of the Red Cross are almost always drawn from corporate boardrooms or the military high command. Among the past chairs and presidents of the Red Cross are 7 former generals or admirals and 1 ex-president. Though it is technically a non-profit, the Red Cross is run more like a profit-hungry corporation than what most people think a charity would act like. The most deadly example of this was the Red Cross's criminally negligent response to the early stages of the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. The Red Cross has been for many decades, and remains today, the largest blood bank in the country. In 1982, and especially 1983, when it would have been possible to contain the outbreak, or at least stop the spread of the disease through infusions of infected blood, major blood banks, led by the Red Cross, opposed national testing of blood for HIV. The Red Cross opposition was based on the financial cost. An investigative journalist, Judith Reitman, wrote in her book, Bad Blood, "It appeared it would be cheaper to pay off infected blood recipients, should they pursue legal action, than to up the Red Cross blood supply." Enron-style bookkeeping, deceptive advertising, and outright theft of funds have also been a big part of the Red Cross' recent history. For years, the organization has been criticized for raising money for one disaster and then withholding a large chunk of it for other operations and fundraising. For example, the Red Cross raised around $50 million for the victims of the 1989 San Francisco earthquake, but it's estimated that only $10 million was ever turned over to the victims. Similar charges were made against the Red Cross following fundraising operations after the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 and a San Diego fire in 2001. These scandals and potentially embarrassing political fallout from them were muffled by the media and the Red Cross's political allies. But the truth couldn't be contained after September 11th. That's when more controversy began, and a congressional investigation revealed that though it had promised that all September 11th donations would go to the victims, the Red Cross held back more than half of the $543 million. During congressional hearings, Representative Billy Tauzin of Louisiana declared, "What's at issue here is that a special fund was established for these families. It was specially funded for this event, September 11th, and it is being closed now because we're told enough money has been raised in it. But we're also told, by the way, we're going to give 2/3 of it away to other Red Cross needs." The Red Cross president was forced to resign, and her successors promised to allocate all of the money to September 11th survivors and their families. The Hurricane Katrina catastrophe of the Gulf Coast revealed the same old problems with the Red Cross. In late September 2005, the organization was ordered out of a suburban Atlanta relief center because, according to the New York Times, its application process had resulted in long lines and the group had made false promises of financial payments. In an even more bizarre incident in Chicago, students were turned away from volunteering for a multi-agency relief center because they refused to sign a loyalty oath to the U.S. government. Even more scrutiny of the Red Cross is beginning to take place. As Richard Walden of Operation USA wrote in the Los Angeles Times, its fundraising vastly outruns its programs because it does very little or nothing to rescue survivors, provide direct medical care, or rebuild houses. Walden noted, and the Red Cross now confirms, that the organization has raised $1 billion in pledges and gifts for hurricane relief. He also revealed that FEMA and the other affected states are reimbursing the Red Cross under pre-existing contracts for emergency shelter and other disaster services. The existence of these contracts is no secret to anyone but the American public. How many people would donate to the Red Cross if they knew all this? In the richest country in the world, it is a travesty that such an organization is responsible for life-saving.
And the American Red Cross was nowhere to be found. So all the American Red Cross, all these people making these big salaries should be out there on the front line. And I am disappointed. And my advice to the people in Staten Island is, do not donate to the American Red Cross. Let them get their money elsewhere. Because we have hundreds and hundreds of people in shelters throughout Staten Island. And many of them, when the shelters close, have nowhere to go because their homes are destroyed.